Okay, so after the observation, after doing that lesson, so how do you think your lesson went? Is there any, thing that you think that you did really well, things that you can, go back and revise or redo? What do you think?
Absolutely. So I think it actually went really well. I think front loading, really talking about the first three chapters and really doing that as a class discussion and having them take notes and really hone in on what the elements were previously so that they could really focus on what's happening next in the story helped a lot. I think that the read aloud is really helpful. All students are sort of seeing it on the screen, seeing it in front, hearing it, and being able to see the words on the page. I think that that helps them really process the information. And then we stop and kind of take time to like let it sink in and so that they can really understand what's happening and talking about that as a class. Um, I do struggle a little bit still with that staying focused, that sustainability. So I am still struggling a little bit with like, how do I keep them engaged? How do I make this a little bit more exciting? And how do I make sure that they're staying on task and getting this independently?
Yeah, I hear that. No, totally the lesson when I was watching it, your connection from the back end from the previous chapter really helps students, especially the group of students who are multi-language learners. They have really that was very helpful to them. And the attention part, that's just something that's going to be like a continuous struggle. If there's support needed, let me know. The cell phone is definitely an area that not just you, but all teachers are having trouble at. So yeah, that's definitely something, the as a teacher, as a staff member, as a team, we're gonna have to continue to work on that. How do you feel about your progress with the CSTP that you have chosen? Do you feel like you're making progress, or do you feel like you need more support for the CSTP? How do you feel?
Feel like I'm making some progress. I think, as I continue through, I am definitely going to continue to reevaluate it and always seek out as much support as I can get. But I feel like I'm making progress. I feel like I have some students who are, already kind of there, and so they're okay. And then I have that middle group that is getting there. I'm still struggling a little bit with the group that is a little bit lower, and I need to kind of get them there. But I think if I continue doing the routine every chapter, this is what we're doing. Every chapter is the expectation. And then the how isn't going to be the problem. It's just going to, how they're turning it in and how are we doing this and how are they figuring it out, but more just so that they can just focus on just what it is they need to be able to do. I think once they get that routine down, they'll move forward as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So I sent you over the list of items that I took notes on during the observations. I highlighted
Thank
some
you.
areas for us to look at. I highlighted some areas for us to discuss. So some areas were the routine and procedures, you gave them breaks in between, for the attention. The electronic usage, you provided like electronic documents and paper documents and your time management with a timer, your guided instructions, and your whole class. So all of this, I noted in the observation, and it looks great. So what are some of your feedback on my observation notes? Any observation feedback? What
Well,
do you think?
I very much appreciated the comments about the timers and really setting up those routines because it is important that they understand and feel comfortable coming in, that it's not going to be different every single time they come in. This is how we're starting, this is how we're doing it. And so I really appreciated that. And definitely having those conversations about the cell phones and how they are being used in class.
Well, we think students are going to come in a very specific way, and so
Mhm.
sometimes we just have to alter it. What if you, assign the reading independently instead of doing it as a whole class? Do you think that would be better for some or better for all? What do you think about that?
I love that idea. I think I'm going to try it. Probably the next chapter is pretty beefy, but maybe the chapter after that, I will give them the option. And I think I can also maybe give them the option of doing that on their own where they could listen to it and or read it. So I think I could make that available for them. That's a good idea.
What is your expectation if they're going to do the independent reading? Like, how are they going to independently self-regulate? What do you think you would do to help them do that with the attention?
Well, I definitely think walking around and keeping them on task. Definitely, I just need to be a little bit stronger with the cell phone issue that I'm having in my class. And I think in order, just allowing them to do the same exact type of worksheet and they can just do it on their own. And then that will let me know if they are actually doing the reading and if they are actually understanding what's happening.
Okay, awesome. Do you think that do you think there was any trends that your students were showing you in the observation? Any positive or trends that you want to keep promoting, or do you think any trends of support that you think they need?
I'm definitely noticing a trend that they are engaged with the novel in that they are really kind of paying attention to the details now that we've sort of pointed them out and I've kind of like guided them to like, you need to pay attention to these specific things. So I think front loading that information, I'm getting some positive, ideas. In fact, they even want to discuss with me that they disagree with me on certain things. And so I love that, like disagree with me all day long and prove me wrong, right? So if that's what it takes to get them engaged, I am all in. But I am noticing that they are actually like, if I ask them a question, they can give me the response, or at least they can give me close to a response. So I know that they're actually like at least getting the information.
Yeah, I'm seeing that, that CSTP that you've been utilizing, like facilitating student learning. I'm seeing that you're kind of facilitating in a really a lot on the front end, and you're going to slowly wean that off. And that doesn't mean that you're not facilitating anymore. You're just allowing more independence in their work, right? I really like
Yeah.
and we do want to promote independence. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the assignment that I'm going to share my screen with you. I'm going to go ahead and pull up this assignment. And so we can take a look at that. Can you see the assignment?
Yes.
Okay. So here is the assignment that you had them do after the read out loud. This is the comprehension question assignment for chapter 1 through 4. And like you said, you review the chapter 1 through 3 beforehand. What was a hard concept for them to understand for this assignment? What do you think?
If we're looking at the logistics of the assignment itself, the first issue I think that a few students struggled with was answering the questions completely.
Right.
It's such a struggle because they think what's in their brain is, I can like telepathically understand what they're trying to say.
Like, you can read my mind.
100%. And I always tell them, I'm like, I don't actually want to be able to read your mind. Like, I'm pretty sure you don't want me to. So I think getting them to respond to these questions completely, and not even necessarily in complete sentences, but complete ideas. And I think that that's one area. And then the second struggle I think they had is that, trying to promote that independence, I gave them the answers and then I asked them to correct their own work where I was not standing in front of the class, reading each question, reading each response.
Right.
And students seem to struggle with that idea. Like they thought, well, I already have the right answer, but they're missing a piece of it. And they didn't understand why I wanted them to finish it and to complete that answer. So they were definitely struggling a little bit with that independence of what I call like backwards learning and being able to go back and say, okay, this was the right answer. Now I understand it better,
Yeah. Revision's always hard for the students. They literally want to do, okay, I'm done. What they want to do
100%.
one and done, So revision is always something that's challenging. And I love that you're trying to promote the independence of revision, because revision is very necessary in writing. So
absolutely.
what can be changed to increase the assignment completion with the revision in the future? What do you think?
So I've been toying with the idea, making it a shorter assignment. I think I may have had too many questions on this particular one. And so they were already not overwhelmed, but they were like, oh, this is a lot of work. And then I'm asking them to do another piece with all of these questions. So I think maybe either focusing the revision on just a couple of the questions or giving them less questions the next round so that they don't feel so overwhelmed.
Oh, I like that. Shortening the assignments and chunking it into small areas. That's actually, and then maybe growing it as it goes.
As we go.
Yeah, that's a really great strategy. What routines and procedure did you find effective that you're going to maybe keep?
So I really do like the revision part of the process here. And so I'm definitely going to keep that. I might just go backwards a little bit and maybe scaffold it a little more where I'm guiding it a little bit more until they're better used to it. And then start releasing that piece a little bit later as well.
I love that. That's a great idea. So next we're going to go ahead and I'm going to share your lesson, the observation that you have with me. So I'm just give me a minute. Okay, here you go, share. Okay. All right, can you see that?
I can.
Okay, so I'm actually gonna put it on mute and we'll just discuss what you did.
Okay.
So here we go. I'll just play it and then after that, we'll just discuss what you did in this lesson. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, it sounded like a good idea at the time. So she got the spell and everything went pretty plan. And she got tears come right in. I carried the rest of the baby and I saw her run away. I was excited to go to my new garden shape and how strong it had become. But when I got there, they weren't thinking about it. Wish I'd forgotten, just about how to take back her even health beats. I had to run away and find a cave in the woods to hide. If I had a few weeks, it's not being to take back. Get it, which turn you into a dragon. You go to your mother. And it was slippery, it was a very good one. I guess that means one thing for her, but I don't know, get alcohol by turning this 6-year-old into a dragon.
So in this lesson, how are you assessing if the students are paying attention or focusing on what they're supposed to be doing?
So that's always hard because, sometimes they're obviously like the student that I went over and said, hey, let's get back to paying attention. And obviously when I walked away, I just saw that he just looked right back up at me and wasn't, doing the reading. And I don't have eyes in the back of my head. I wish I did, but I just think monitoring and walking around is the best. It's hard to know when they're really focused. I'm also seeing one of our other students kind of in the back corner, just sort of watching like what's happening.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of them they're on the right page. They're turning the page when they need to be, or at least the ones that I can kind of see in the vicinity. So I think, that walking around and monitoring, but it's hard.
I like that you redirected that student as well. And I like that you walk around. I think that's great. We can't monitor all the time and, we have to put trust in some of our students, but the redirection, the walking around, just checking in, making sure they're on task. I really like that. I know that in this lesson, you also do some annotations. So let's go ahead and look at your annotations and then we'll discuss them.
But, got back, found out the Raiders are already, they're home from that, like, with that. Have it on,
Okay, so we just learned how the Mona got her shape-shifting powers. What happened after she got her powers? When she got home, where was everyone? Go for it. Her what got raided? Yes, her village was raided and everyone was dead, including her parents. So that makes her an orphan.
I really like that, you checked in with the comprehension questions and I found that a lot of students were participating as a whole class discussion. That sounds awesome. Seeing this and watching a part of the observation in the future, would you change any strategies on how you would do this or would you keep the same with the audiobook and stuff?
I really like the audiobook because I think that helps them pay attention, but also it helps the processing. I think it's really hard when students are expected to read out loud. So I try not to do that very often. So I really do like that. I need to, I think, focus a little bit more on walking around more around the room. I think I tend to stay in like one kind of area. So I'm noticing. But I like this process. I think I'm going to keep the audio and continue to do that.
Nice. Anything you would implement in the future, or do you think you would just keep it the same? I mean, you can keep it the same. I think it's
Yeah,
great.
I think I would keep that the same. I think I would just I try to move around to the other side of the room a little bit more. And I also, noticed that it's very hard to hear. The students are answering, but only I can hear them, or I even have to like get closer to them. So I need to work on students having their voice in the class too, so that everyone can hear them.
Yeah. I know that we have a mic, so
We
I
do.
have a mic, so that's a good one for a student to use too. Do you believe your student understood the instructions or the lesson and the assignment after doing all of this? What do you think?
Yeah, I feel like they were really understanding where we are, and then having that discussion of kind of moving into analysis, they were able to use this knowledge and talk about some of the characterizations. So I think that that shows that they are definitely at least on pace.
Nice. Yeah, I really like that observation. I really enjoy watching the students. So what are your next step for your future lesson as an educator? Like, I know we discussed what you're going to do in the later on, and we've
Yeah.
discussed so many times what you're going to change in the future. But as an educator, what do you think you'll keep, or are you going to continue, with accommodations? What are something as in future as an educator you would like to do?
So immediately, I'm thinking based on something you said earlier about having them, as we go through the next set of chapters, not being quite the leader for them, but kind of releasing that a little bit more to them. Like you mentioned earlier about having them read it on their own.
Yeah.
I might do that on not this next chapter coming up because this one's pretty bulky, but the next one after that. And then having them kind of do the assignment on their own and just kind of see where they are with the different accommodations that they might need, but kind of more independently and just
Yeah.
kind of check and see where they are. So I think I'm going to do that. And then just overall as an educator, just continue to work on that cell phone focus, engagement, helping students make better decisions for themselves.
You know what we can think of also as well, if you want to look up the strategy or the lesson, is you can also discuss with other teams in your PLC, or I can come discuss with you. We could do readers theaters. That's a great
Yeah.
way for students to read and role play as they read. So they do the independent reading, but they are still doing it as a whole class lesson. So that's a great thing as well. So that's something that
Yeah,
you
that'd be
wanna
great.
look into.
Yeah.
Also, I do love the fact that you really want to hone in students' engagement and attention and the whole cell phone. I know that our district is having a professional development for strategies to implement in the classroom for student engagement and how to decrease cell phone usage. So that's something that we can also look into too.
Okay.
Or even your team members during like a PD day or something like that. So those are, two things that can definitely help out. But
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
thank you so much for allowing me to observe you. Is there any feedback you would like to give me?
No, just having the conversation and just having someone else kind of be in the room and see it, and then just someone to bounce ideas off of. It's been great. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Awesome. Thank you. Great. Have a good day.